What is up, everybody? This is LesageSinging, your chronically Caucasian vocal analyst who forgot to close the bathroom door and for some reason has two headphones on. I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of like the aesthetic, so we're gonna keep it. Okay. Oh, we got some dub. I gotta say, I wubbed that bass. I'm not sorry.
So there's a couple ways, as you heard that I just did. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can hum it. You can do the vocal chest. You can do the vocalized chest bass. You can extend it, and you can do like a weird synth thing. So I'm gonna teach all of this. Okay. So I'm gonna teach the first one, which everyone usually calls like the one known bass, the whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm gonna teach that.
I can hear the difference, I guess, between this and the normal like throat bass, because there's this resonance that's happening in the oral cavity that doesn't happen otherwise.
And you can do like a weird synth thing. So I'm gonna teach all of this. Okay. So I'm gonna teach the first one, which everyone usually calls like the one known bass, the whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm gonna teach that, how to extend it, and then I'll teach how to hum it, and I'll teach how to do this weird like Tomazakre-ish synth thing. Thing.
That's really cool. I will say this about the beatboxing community. One, the beatboxing community concerns itself with anatomy far more than the singing community, particularly on YouTube, where things like support are just like thrown around without any explanation as to what they are. Also, respect to the fact that there is a bar that's set in terms of there's this expectation if you're gonna teach it, do it. I don't think that that's always necessary. Like, I've had great voice teachers who actually just don't sing, but they did a whole lot of different other kind of work to be able to teach. So, like, it's usually a good thing to just like find the people who can do it. But anyway,
that I do with it. Okay. Hope you guys enjoy this. I really hope this helps.
That's a great shirt,
out of all the bass series, this is going to be the worst explanation. Just heads up. Like, this one's kind of tricky to explain. But like I said, I hope this helps. If I did help, leave a comment below. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's see what happens. So, this is a mix of your voice. Ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. And getting it so low is the push to the chest. So, the main part of this whole bass isn't your voice. That's the easy part. You can just add in your whoa. You just add your voice. Getting the sorry. Getting that is going to be the tricky part. It's from my chest. That's not ow wow wow. That's ow wow wow. It's from my chest. So the best way to get this sound. Imagine you're mad. Like, you ever had like a bad day at school? You have a bad bus ride home. It's not a good day.
That's cool.
And it only gets worse when you get home and your parents are like, oh, you gotta do the dishes. You gotta do this, you know what I mean? And then you're just like, that.
I know I shouldn't, but I really want to make a joke about being married. Love my wife. She's amazing.
Sound, the frustrated, or some people do it with their nose, or that thing. That's what you need for this sound, I should say. So it's that growl. It's that demony growl thing, okay? If you've never, maybe you meditate every day and you got like pure zen in your life and you've just never been mad. Who knows? Okay. If you've never done that, the best way I can describe this is open your mouth. Don't try to do it with your, if you've never done it. So try to say ha, and whisper it.
That's interesting. So that's the sound, this like whistle sound that he's getting. And I'm not sure, I doubt it's the microphone or that the room has resonant frequencies, because if you look at the closet door, this man clearly has a wide angle camera. And if you look at all of the hats on top of the door, these are clearly strategically placed to deal with acoustic resonant frequencies. Half joking, half not. This little whistle thing, you hear it on the end there? that hollow whistly thing is really cool, and I'm gonna work on it. Not right now, because I'm not that interesting.
Right. From there, this is gonna sound really weird, but hold the ha. So. If you push hard enough, you're gonna feel your chest kind of push. You're gonna feel this like. Like that kind of happened right now.
The one reason I cringe a little bit reflexively, a lot of beatboxers in the comment. First of all, I love that I'm getting a lot of comments, particularly ones that are either correcting or giving more sources for information because I'm so new to this. The one element, the one cautionary thing I want to speak on is cues that rely on tension or like tightening are usually bad for singing, specifically for singing. I can imagine that there's a lot of utility in beatboxing and maybe even in like metal singing or other genres, but like it's very, very, very precise and controlled tension. So if you want to do both, it's a good idea to, it's not that you have to avoid tension, it's that you have to be able to choose. And I actually really, really, really want to show an example of this. One of my favorite beatboxers is Reepsone because there's not a lot of emphasis on extended technique, and I think that's in part because he might have done a lot of beatboxing battles, but from what I've seen of Reeps, it's more the beatboxing is more and his success is more on the focus of musical elements. There's nothing wrong with extended technique and learning all these cool, crazy things. But you can do a lot with just having super clean technique without like any of the bells and whistles. And actually, it's funny in beatboxing, that's actually literally bells and whistles. Anyway, so I want to point out this is something that is taught a lot for singers and actors, and it's a concept that gets talked a lot about in Feldenkrais and Alexander technique, and I'll just show this real quick. You see how he's closing his eyes and he's super trying to be relaxed here and succeeding? That is very important to speed. Speed of consonant, speed, like any instrument you want to play, like guitar. You know, I used to play scales on guitar because I'm hip. But these moments are really important. Reepsone focuses a lot on posture. Like, so it's a lot about ergonomics. So by nature of throat bass, there is a contraction, right? Your false folds have to come together for throat bass. And like the strength of his kicks and the strength of these inhales, there is a lot, right? There's like a tightness, but he gets rid of it like that. I don't think that's necessarily that important for beatboxing strictly to be able to kind of control your own tension. I would imagine it is, but like in different ways. But if you're going to sing and do beatboxing, you have to make sure that you can tension release very quickly at the drop of a hat. Anyway, let's get back to the tutorial because I'm a noob.
We can't trust the sword of 1,000 truths to a noob. Sounds to me like we don't have a choice.
The mix of pushing that ha, and then it's gonna feel weird, but when you're pushing, yeah, I'm pushing down. So imagine you're like taking your ha, and it sounds weird, but where you're feeling that breath come.
It's interesting. I would have thought that that's the larynx dropping, but it's not. I don't know. That's interesting. Epiglottis, maybe? Right? That would be our epiglottis at the base here. I don't know. I need to look at some scoping. Let me just. Tom Thumb is not exactly known for his bass, right? All right. Let's take a look at this.
The base of the tongue, the side walls of the screen, that's the pharynx, all muscle walls, and in the deep dark depths is the larynx. It's just his unique use of all the muscles and soft tissues which lets him do all these amazing sounds that you're going to hear. So we will dissect some of these sounds for you now. Oh. So what he's doing is he's changing the shape and the length of the vibrating air column.
I had a student today who asked me, we talk a lot about the vocal tract, we talk a lot about these things, but I think there's a better way to actually understand this. This is Ingo Titze. He is a vocal scientist, for lack of a better term. I will let him explain.
Here's where the vocal folds would be, and out here's the mouth. And then we solve the mathematics for how waves propagate or move up and down these airways. And at every little junction, we have to compute a forward pressure and a backward reflected pressure. And we do this hundreds of thousands of times a second to take care of all the sounds.
So that's how these things work. He also goes into vowels. Whenever we do vowels, we discern which vowel is which by the orientation of the vocal tract and how that affects sound.
Ya, 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 ya.
I love that video. It's BBC The Voice Power Body clip. It's fantastic. You should totally watch it if you're interested in this stuff.
All right. Sorry, I had to adjust my levels here. Doom, 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 doo, 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 doo. Here we go. Audio settings on the fly. Like a professional, kind of, not really. All right. Let's go back to some Tom Thumb. I really want to see more of this.
Using rhythmic contractions of all the muscles to generate all those sounds that you're hearing. And now...
So... this is interesting. So the real folds are the white. Here, I guess let's get a close up here. We had a nice stunning Kruger moment in the comment section of one of my videos. To the right of me are the green arrows pointing to the arytenoids. Those are responsible for bringing the vocal folds together as well as the false folds. But watch what happens when Tom Thumb does a vocal bass. You can see the arytenoids vibrating quite quickly.
Hearing.
So the false folds here. This is not what the vocal folds look like when you're singing. I guess it depends on the genre. These to the left and right here would be definitely abducted. You wouldn't see this. You would see more of the white folds like we had in the beginning, actually. Which was right... oh, we're going to find it. There we go. We found it there. So this is what singing looks like, generally. We get everything out of the way. Again, depends on the genre. And then these little tiny pieces of flesh, right? They wiggle. Those are the vocal folds. What we see here, when he was doing the throat bass, boosh, is we see a lot of rattling of the arytenoids and of other pieces in the throat. I can't seem to find it again. There we go.
And now there's rhythmic movements of they're the arytenoid cartilages way down there, rocking back and forth to create that different sound. And we like to call this sphincter bass. And what you can see is that collapsing all the tissue down allows a different kind of really deep bass note. All right, so some with local anesthetic on board, a big black hose in the nose. We're going to let loose a sliver of...
I'm very happy to hear that he's been numbed up. This sucks. even numb. So he's being a real hero right now.
His repertoire and seal this in play.
To all my peeps who we came to get deep. Deep is in your piss. Check this.
Whoa, I love that. I mean, this is like definitely like one of the coolest things. This is super rad. So what I didn't appreciate, and this is actually what a lot of you said in the comments, a lot of more than is generally done in singing, the vocal tract changes its size radically, right? In singing, you want to do that gradually, but like beatboxing, all these sounds are like... That's so cool. To use swallowing as a sound. And it's interesting that whenever we see the bass, throat bass or vocal bass, I'm still trying to discern the differences. But we see actually the larynx go up, which is actually quite interesting because you'd think it would go down for lower. But look at it go up when it does the bass. Right? Yeah, human beings are amazing. Man, like, for all intents and purposes, like the vocal folds and the false folds and all this whole apparatus is basically a sphincter for practical purposes of like lifting weights, right? You can equalize your pressure, like close off, and you can lift a lot heavier. So that, I mean, like presumably is probably its function, at least in other mammals or other animals. But for us to be so elaborate about communication is just, it's poetic in a way. It's like we want to speak to one another. We want to communicate to one another. And then we have all these different ways of doing it. And it's kind of beautiful. Wow.
We start from the basics and build from scratch. Yeah, like that.
Just on a basic level, man. Thum's like, this is what I love about Reepsone, and it's the same thing I mentioned. Like, the fundamentals are so clean. Not all kick drums are created equal. Oh, he's looping. Okay, I was like, what is going on? It took me a moment there. Wow. Take a look at that vibrato and what happens there. That's super cool. Right? That's super cool. Like a lot of how voice teachers learn and how I think students learn is we talk about all these things in isolation, right? Like thyroid cartilage tilt equals classical singing equals vibrato equals all that, right? But I think we don't and it's this is something that I really respect about the beatbox community. We don't really think a lot about how all of this affects everything, right? Like nothing is in isolation by itself. And I respect that so much. To see something like this, I think is a real treasure. I have an RC 505. After this, I might give it away. That's astounding. I want to know the name of this man, Dr. Matthew Broadhurst. This is exactly what I was looking for, is a scientist, a doctor, a specialist, who specifically has been looking at beatboxing. I am going to be watching a lot of this man and or reading. Super cool. Thank you so much for everybody who said, like, hey, this happened. There was a scoping, Thum, boom. This is just super rad.